Role-playing games, or the RPG genre, are a staple of video gaming. Whether it be turn-based or action-orientated, it doesn't matter as long as you are in the driving seat of a narrative. And in VR, it's no different. We have a huge amount of RPGs ready for you to play in an immersive nature on your headset, and today, we're going to pick the best ones that are available for you right now. So we're going to start off with the oldest game on this list, and probably the most obvious. The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim VR. Skyrim is available on pretty much everything. Any device that you can imagine that has a screen, and even some that don't, play Skyrim. So why would VR be any different? Skyrim VR is exactly what you'd imagine it to be. It is a VR adaptation of the existing Skyrim game, and that is the original Skyrim game. So yeah, the graphics are pretty outdated. There's a few bugs here and there. Not as much as there were at launch, but there's still plenty of bugs. And the game is the exact same game as you played before. But as we all know, VR changes things significantly. Being in that world and engaging in combat with your own hands, with your own swipes of your sword or mace, or shooting your bow and arrow, or whatever it may be, casting your spells. The combat in Skyrim VR is completely unlike anything available on Skyrim on any of the other formats. Getting lost in Skyrim all over again in VR comes highly recommended. And honestly, I don't see what you could do that would be better than that in VR. But here's one game that might be better in VR. Asgard's Wrath 2. Now, Asgard's Wrath 2 was a big title for VR when it launched, but it kind of resonated more with the existing VR audience than the big winter hits that we're getting right now, like Batman and Deadpool. Asgard's Wrath is a IP that was established by Meta to push the MetaQuest headsets. Arguably before they realised, you know what, let's just use other people's IPs. But Asgard's Wrath 2 delivers a fantastic experience. If you haven't checked it out yet, you really should go and get Asgard's Wrath 2 right now. The game integrates action RPG mechanics with a deep storyline. It has fierce and brutal combat, and also there's several different playable characters in the game that each have their own unique abilities and weapon types, and also different upgrade paths. The game literally goes out of its way to encourage you to experiment and try new things. And that's exactly what we want from an RPG in VR. There's no point in running the mill and basically doing what Skyrim's done. Try something different, get out there and experiment, and Asgard's Wrath 2 positively encourages this.
To right your wrongs. Time or place you can hide. Your fate is mine.
Next up, we have Blade and Sorcery. And I know what you're thinking. Blade and Sorcery isn't an RPG. Well, have you played the dungeon mode? So dungeon mode introduces a lot of elements that are common in RPGs, and it mixes it all with procedurally generated layouts and that visceral combat. The character progression is pretty light, but the ability to choose your own gear and develop different combat strategies is exactly the kind of thing that we want from RPGs in VR. And of course, you still have that focus on physicality that exists in the normal Blade and Sorcery gameplay modes. So it brings RPG mechanics to a game that is already very heavily embedded in VR.
Master your enchantments. Lay claim to your greatness. Triumph over your enemies.
Now we're going to turn to a bit of a newer title. This game actually only launched in 2025 and has been well received. It has a kind of unique art style, which you'll either love or hate, but it's essentially an indie take on the Skyrim style RPG. Drakenridge came earlier this year and has honestly, it has changed my perception of what a VR RPG should be. It's doing the usual thing, like I say, mentioned Skyrim earlier. It's doing the usual thing of giving the player a world to explore and a narrative to draw through and side quests and new areas that unlock as you progress, but that's the big difference. Many of the areas in Drakenridge, they are actually at least approachable from the start of the game, but they don't unlock, well, some of them do. Most of them don't unlock through natural story progression. Instead, they unlock by upgrading your abilities and giving you more traversal ability. There are some high off destinations, up mountains and whatever else that you can't get to until you have the ability to get up that mountain. This is very different to the usual RPG progression, which is generally drop a checkpoint on a map and off you go, venturing across the world to get there. Instead, Drakenridge, it throws at you very small contained areas where your quests are in, but if you push a bit further afield, you will find different locations that, again, you may not be able to access right now, but you can come back to when you have abilities that allow you to get in there. Drakenridge is a really interesting take on what an RPG should be in VR, and while it's not perfect, it does a pretty good job of delivering everything it promises, and from a very small team. I highly recommend that you go and check this one out. We're going to round out with another game that you might think is not an RPG. The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners. Now, The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners has appeared in so many of these best videos that we have done here on 131XR, and for good reason. And why does it fit into the RPG mold? Well, it's got a load of resource management, crafting progression, and also it's those dialogue choices. The way in which you interact with the characters in the world determines the output that they give back to you, and thus how the narrative continues. RPG, as I said at the start of the video, stands for role-playing game. You can't get much more role-playing than having a conversation with somebody and the game panning out in a different direction because of it. There are many games that have tried to do this kind of stuff in VR, but honestly, The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners still stands as one of the top tier games, even more so than its sequel.
Are we simply beasts? No. I am not a lowly animal.
So those were our top picks for the best RPGs available in VR in 2025, and I'm sure that we have missed some of your favourites out. There are plenty of VR RPGs out there. So be sure to let us know what your favourite VR RPG is in the comments down below. And, you know, we do have to pull one out for all those VR MMORPGs that came early, delivered promise, but ultimately have gone by the wayside. So thanks everyone who's been trying. One day we'll get that super cool VR MMORPG.